Hello, it's time for one of James's video diary entries of the day. It is December 25th, 2024. Merry Christmas, by the way. Today it's a little different than it was last year. There's snow on the ground, and I haven't walked anywhere. Last year it was pretty warm, and I ended up finding money. I ended up losing it somehow. I don't know how I did that, but I did. I'm in a better position than I was last year. I've got this channel around me. I'm getting off my mental meds. I'm going to have to watch my high blood pressure. I don't see it being high, but I'm under a bit of stress right now. Woke up with a Christmas epiphany. I keep chasing people who have about the displayed intelligence of a third grader with an adult body. I need somebody who's an adult in an adult body. People who seemingly think that the next 10 minutes is the only answer. They don't look at 10 months, 10 weeks, 10 years. I tend to look 10 years down the road. That's why I go after who I go after. And body, although it's great, I mean, it's a bonus. It really can be. But if that's the basis of your relationship, I see people, I only want to do it where I want to do it. That's great. But that's the basis of lying. It's compartmentalization. It's the first step in lying. It's buying your own Kool-Aid and to split with the consequences. And when the consequences come, oh my God, hey man, I think about the consequences first. Maybe it's because I had child support at 18 years old, just getting out of high school. I didn't get, I had to work for everything. I had to pay rent. I had to pay for all these things. I had to pay for somebody else's decisions, even when they were wrong. And it was contravention of law and its intent. I don't have a relationship with my daughter. That relationship that brought her into this world burned me so badly that for the last 30 years I've been investigating people. I've learned that 90+% of the population drink their own Kool-Aid way too much, and they take themselves way too seriously. And they think that they're somehow the center of the universe. My take on it's a little different. My take is I don't want to live the worst nightmares of my life. I don't even want to come close. I'll walk away from you if you get lying. So once you start that process, cheating's next. And what do you tolerate? And I'll give you examples. Donna Burkett of Midland. I didn't lie to you. You changed a promise to me without telling me, because you already knew that if you had told me you didn't want to be an adult and cover your end of the bargain, it would have been the end of our relationship 2.5 years earlier than it took. It wasn't a lie. Well, yes, it is a lie, because you made a promise to me. But you changed the promise to me without informing me. You made me bring it up why this didn't happen. When you said, well, you'd choose me. Oh, don't make me choose. Should have been a choice. You should have been an adult. An adult said you would choose me over the other option. Your adult son needed to move out on his own. Thomas, his move out would have been my move up. But you couldn't do it. He'd come first. I'm not being second banana when I'm supposed to be first. You can't make that decision as an adult. You can't follow through with that decision as an adult. The last woman I was chasing, actively chasing, a lot of them, Patricia Bailey of Clare. Well, she's a Harrison. She has residence in Roscommon. But after 3 years, I thought you were screwing me. Does that mean that you automatically get absolution for your asinine, juvenile, criminal behavior? If you wanted me, you can't answer a straight question when somebody says, hey, why are you here? This is a strange place for you to be. Why are you here? You sit there with your thumb up your ass instead of saying, I'm here for this. I made a mistake. I apologize. Now, I know that goes a long way because the only millionaire that I'm still in my friend group, when I made a mistake, I said, hey, I made a mistake, and I broadcast, hey, I made a mistake. I apologize. I'm sorry. And he's still my friend. We still talk to this day. I'm not going to put out his name because I don't need him to be inundated. The women, they need to get their asses whipped. Shannon Ploa out of Grayling. Well, she used to be out of Gladwin, but she didn't have the common sense that says, if this situation isn't working, keep doing the same thing because it works great. It works great. It works great. I don't put you in a position you don't want to be in. But instead of listening, just like the girl at Seville, I don't even have her name. Right here in Carlton, Michigan. Little Mexican girl. Dumb as dog shit. She wasn't kind, and she worked her way in to get in a spot for me to put her in a batter's box. Then she went, I'm a third grader, and I'm more important than you are. And you're going to do it my way because I decided. And my body's the only thing you're going to get. Which said, fuck you. Compartmentalization. You only do this at this one point. I will only do this here. It's compartmentalization. It's the first step to lying. It's the first step to cheating. It's the first step to making the worst nightmares of my life become real events. Sarah McLaughlin from Boise, formerly of Saginaw, about 30 years ago. That's what she did. Promised me she would do something for me. So when I asked for a step in that direction, I didn't want a 10-minute quick fix. I was looking at 30 years, a 30-year marriage, a 40-year marriage. But you don't do it that way because it sets the conditions for cheating. It sets the conditions that you don't have to be accountable for your own actions and that you are not the villain, that you can never be the villain. You can be the villain. I've been a villain. I accept that. But I accept that I'm not always the villain. I accept that my intelligence, I look forward to what's coming. I looked forward for almost 20 years for a woman to make a phone call to me. When I was out, when I was working. That way I would have that phone call to come back to, that message. Hi, my name is Sarah from Boise. My name is Jessica. We worked the library. I worked the library and I was interested in seeing you socially. I'd like to date you, take you home, get you to take me out. This is my number and this is so that we can see each other somewhere other than just that one place. Because the minute you get somewhere else, you can't move. If you can't move, man, you're not going to get anything. Be like Irene Kaufman of Gaylord. After 3 years of me pursuing, she became my stalking horse. And she's not going to go through it. After it became apparent that I wasn't going to be able to save my toolbox in 20 years of my life. Well, now I want to what I was offered 2 years ago. Do that to the gas station once. You do your car insurance. Your mechanic. When you're asked to put in what you actually want, speak it into life, you call me an asshole because you say nothing. It's like Patricia Bailey. She could have saved it. Well. That's $150,000 out the fucking lawn because you couldn't dig your head out of your ass and be an adult rather than a third grader in an adult body. I want to think about the next 10 minutes. You're thinking that I have all the context, and I don't. In fact, when I read context into relationships and investigations, I read more into your behavior than your body. Your body may get me to say, yep, you're a girl. You have all of the necessary equipment to be a biological female of a human species. And I'm thinking of Tina Wernicke. I was working in operation. Well, I'm automatically right. I know I'm right. Dude, do you understand the concept of what your job does? Do you understand the concept of the machine? The principle, scientific principle? You literally can gauge your last piece by the print. There's a set of calipers in the print because the die doesn't change like that over time. And if you gauge your first piece, and if it doesn't migrate, if it doesn't look that migrating, the die is not going to get smaller. It was good enough as a non-critical part. You automatically are automatically right, and you never can take a suggestion. I can't deal with that. I'm not going to. It's going to lead to extreme amounts of strife and anger and hate. And the worst nightmares of my life coming to fruition. I'm not looking for a 10-minute deal. I'm looking for a lifetime deal. That's why my process requires an indoctrination. It's also part of that I'm a demisexual. I'm emotionally involved in the sex. Otherwise, you'll get better off the street. You pick somebody off the street better. Now I've asked the Lord for help. Everybody and their brother wants to put on a show like they're the best of the best of the best. Like it's not going to change. I guess in the case of Pat, it probably wouldn't. She's in her 70s. She was in her late 70s, early 80s. Guess you're probably not going to change too much, just a little sagging. Same thing with Irene Kaufman. She's in her 60s. Wants to play like she's a 12-year-old girl. Without assets. Without the ability to build forward in a way that is conducive to her success. 1819 did that to a lot of people. While you're politically aligned, you can get a job that you're unqualified for. And you literally don't have to be qualified for it. Somebody else will cover you. Or you'll okay someone to be on a machine where they have two of their own workstations and they can't contain their mess to their own workstation. They have to take from others when others don't have it to give. Well, you're still my ATM. I decided you're going to. At which point, murder is the next step. Omar Williamson did that. Donald Holmes, the UAW union steward, said it was okay for him to do so. Okayed it. The plant manager of Lear Roscommon, Jamie, he okayed it. The HR department of Lear Roscommon okayed it. They knew I brought the problem to them. The answer was simple. Put me in a different position. Since I was such a utility player, I could literally work with anyone in the plant pretty much. I could literally work almost any job in the plant, with the exception of skilled trades. I could literally work any non-skilled trades job. If Dana Mullins Sr. would have filled out the paperwork, I could have been a high-low driver. You can put me on a fork truck for the night. I've been fine. They could put me in assembly, running over in assembly lines. They could put me in the ACO process, despite not certifying me. They trusted me to train people on the science of the ACO process. Poor management from the top to the bottom of Lear is what's going to do with that. And Sara Lee's having the same problem. Take you at your word and not do a BDA, what the Army calls a BDA, battle damage assessment. In this instance, it would be a business cost assessment. I mean, seriously. If you're hemorrhaging $4.5 million a month, you can't participate in a fun event, community event. And I would love to have participated in that. I would have volunteered to do it when I was in Traverse City. The maintenance department didn't have any leadership because, well, there's no entrance exam for the maintenance department. And any maintenance department worth their weight in dog shit is going to have an entrance exam. It's going to have, what's this device? How does it work? How do you check it? Especially something that, that could take down $1 million line. You better know if not and or then gates. You better have that kind of logic. And you better know what controls it. Because you're going to turn a $10,000 downtime into a $4.5 million, into a $500,000 loss. Complete loss for the company. And that's just in that night. If you do it repeatedly, you're going to have extreme amounts of turnover because you're going to have low morale and low confidence in your management. And essentially, at some point, you are literally going to run out of, your production is going to run too low to be viable, and you will have to close that plant. Look at Lear. Look at Sara Lee. Look at ABM. I have standards that I cannot train you to. So you could never meet my standards. So I always have something to complain about. Don Andre. Todd Fleming. I was taught if you have standards, I can train you to meet those standards so that I can exceed the customer. So I'm not managed by the customer. I was taught, probably through the school of hard knocks, you chase widows over divorcees. Because divorcees don't have the intelligence. Most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. They choose the wrong person and say, well, I got too tough. In adult life, it does get tough. And if your basis is something that's going to change with anonymity, when it does change, there are consequences. That's why guys go after younger girls all the time. Well, they divorce their wife of 20 years to go after a younger girl. Well, part of our relationship was based on your body. And your body ain't what it used to be. And I want what I'm paying for. I want what I'm paying for. I mean, truthfully, you do the same thing in the shoes. If you were as scarred as I am, you'd be investigating people. You would be looking at, how can I make this a longevitous thing? Can I make this a longevitous thing? Because I'm given my numerical anodomity. I'm 46, almost 47. My dad is my oldest living male relative. As far as I know, he's still living. He's 72 years of age. As a guidepost, I will probably live to 72 years of age if I don't manage to off myself or get dead in some kind of event. So how am I going to make it from 46 to 73, 72? What do I want in that time? I'm going to have to lay the groundwork for it. Anything worth having is going to, like a building, you're literally going to have to lay the groundwork. You're literally going to have to build it in a thing that should last 100 years. With the engineering premise of, I want this to last 100 years. Houses, it's only meant to last 10 years. It might only last 6. It's meant to last 100. It lasts 200, 104. You can look at cars too. They did the same thing. Longevity. There are cars from the 70s still out there. And they're common enough that you can still get parts for them. You don't have to go to the college and have them machine you parts. You don't have to know a machinist and a metallurgy guy to be able to get them. People are, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Most of them are retarded. And they only want 10 minutes, not thinking that life's going to go on. Oldest living relative, 72? Which means I got about 30 years, 25 to 30 years and counting, give or take. So what do I want to do in that time? What am I going to want to have? Am I going to want to break up marriages? No, or a heart? I'm not. And I was kind of blunt. You failed simply on timing and approach. Had you approached me differently, you could have won. If your timing had been differently, I might have been married to you for the last 30. I might have been married for 30. It's like Shannon Mercer. She's a paperwork single. She's on the verge of a paperwork single. She turned me down, but she still talks to me, so she's kind of fun to play with. But she understands the concept. I'm not building it on her body, building it on the other things, the important things. The body's just a bonus. That way the body can always be a bonus. Because I don't discriminate based on weight or handicap. I have been trying to get somebody a little more proportionate to me. Because I don't want the stupidity. But I don't think I don't know how I'm going to get that. I'm sorry for the rant. Thank you for viewing, subscribing, commenting. I love it all. I'm a decent guy. I don't have fair shake where it's not, you know all these things. No, I don't. Assume I have nothing. Assume what I tell you is the truth. If you do, there's a greater chance of success. Just like I do with you. I take what I see and I base it on the worst possible scenario. That way I'm never surprised. There's never briars that are unseen, because I generally won't take the path when I start seeing the signs. It's real simple. Have a good day.